Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Get Puck Podcast. Matt, Dave, Vito, and Luca here. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Really good.
Really good.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Perfect. I'm sensing a little bit of embellishment, but I'll take it. I'm happy to hear you guys are doing well.
Okay.
So I want to talk to you, gentlemen, right out the gate. Something interesting, I hope. The goalie situation in Montreal is a very perplexing case. There are instances where you're looking at Dobes and you're like, "Oh my God, yes, this is going to be the guy for the foreseeable future." And then he has a couple of subsequent games where you're like, "Oh wow, okay, maybe not so much." Monty last year, end of last year, we were all like, "Okay, this could be the guy. This could be our number one for the next couple of years until the next guy comes." Then he comes out the gate this season, and of course, the track record is pretty terrible, to say the least. And so we're kind of mulling it over here, and we were talking a little bit off air. And so I'm going to toss it to you right away. We'll start with you, Vito. Let me know what would be your preferred outcome. Would you like to see this year play out where these two guys keep going back and forth, Monty and Dobes, until one of them emerges as the true number one, or they figure it out some way, shape, or form, hopefully? Or do you think that that is not likely to happen and that both of these guys are not really the answer, and you like to go and have Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon explore what are some options out there for goaltending? I could throw some names that have been kind of percolating around. There's been Binnington, who just put on a little bit of a show here the other night at the Bell Center. Tristan Jarry's name's been tossed around. UPL over in Buffalo is another one of interest. They seem to have too many guys there. What would you choose as your option?
They've already played 28 games, and we're still having a debate on who should be a number one. Like, I don't think it's much of a debate between Monty and Dobes at the moment. I mean, Dobes is giving the team the best chance to win. You see he's battling. He doesn't give up on the pucks as much, things like that. So at this point, if you're looking at the two goalies that the Canadiens do have, Dobes is the number one. Monty is not, and until he really wakes up or at least starts to play like he did last year, at the very least, it should continue to be Dobes and ride the hot hand, and that's it, and get the goalie that's giving the team the best chance to win. I do think that there's something there. I know they've tried to give the benefit of the doubt and let Monty go, but this year was a year where the team was supposed to take another step, and goaltending was not something that they probably thought would be an issue at this point of the season. They probably figured they'd be able to at least play Dobes, play Monty, and figure things out, and pretty much rely on Montembeault more often than not, and that's not the case. Both these goalies are their advanced metrics are not that great either. Even their basic stats are not that great. They're both of them are below 900 save percentage. They're both 3.0 goals against average or above it. That's not goaltending that you want for a team that's trying to make the playoffs and have certain aspirations and take the next step. I do think there's something there with regards to maybe going and look for another goalie out there. The issue is what is their plan for Jacob Fowler? And you don't want to have a situation where you bring in another goalie and then you have to figure out where to fit Fowler when the time comes. So there's things that that if Fowler's likely the Habs' future goalie, their future number one, and he's killing it in the AHL already. So, I mean,
Well, how soon do you think Fowler can make an appearance on the Canadiens, realistically?
I think he can make an appearance as soon as next game, but I think they have a development plan for him. I think they want him to just dominate, play Laval, be the go-to guy there, do what needs to be done. Like, he can't be any worse than what's going on right now in Montreal. I don't think so anyway. So Dobes is doing fine, but at the same time, Monty is not. So they keep bouncing around and flipping goalies back and forth, and I think that's kind of hurting the team. But I think that if they really had to, with the numbers that Fowler's putting up, he can go and play a couple of games in the NHL and whatnot. But I just don't know if. To me, I want to see him stay and dominate and get to the end of the Laval season. And Laval's playing well and they're in a groove, and keep that positive thing going over there and not bring him up just yet. But I would say next year. on a full-time basis, bring Fowler in next year.
Okay, but if you're talking about Fowler, then you're suggesting that leads to you wouldn't go to trade market. You let these guys kind of do their thing and trying to work it out. Dobes number one in your mind, and see how the season goes.
I always saw it kind of like how you see it in how Minnesota has it, where they have Gustafsson and Wallstedt. They know that Wallstedt's their future, but they've also made a commitment to Gustafsson. And then kind of you could see where the succession plan was going to be, where at some point Wallstedt would take over and Gustafsson would be a backup who would eat about 35, maybe 35 to 38 games eventually. And I think Montreal kind of thought that maybe that was going to be the case also Montembeault, that he was going to be a solidified number 2 guy that would be a mentor, kind of like the way Jake Allen was for a while, as a good supporting cast and somebody who could jump in when things are getting going through, when one goal is going through a bad stretch and whatnot. But Monty's is slowly proving the other way, like the other side of the coin, that he might not even be a viable veteran guy long term for somebody like Fowler. So I'm thinking that if they were to move somebody like Montembeault eventually, if that's the plan, and they bring in somebody who's got a bit more talent, a bit more of an uptick, somebody that can jump in if Fowler's going through a stretch of games once he's there. Like I would target. I like this guy. I think he's got the right pedigree. He's got the right size. I think that it's something that they could consider. Is you go to Buffalo and you get UPL. I think he's at the right age too. He's entering his prime years, and over there they have some decisions to make on their goaltending.
Okay.
So he's probably the guy I would target.
Okay. Luca, same question to you. Slight deviation, because there was something I wanted to add prior to this, and I just remembered it now. The goaltending situation, I guess, right out the gate, subpar, yes? We can agree with the results?
I mean, yeah, subpar for sure. But I mean, at the same time, I see potential for Dobes. I do see potential.
Fair. So the pre-question to my question is it more on the goalies or is it more on the defensive play of the team in front of them that's making them look worse than they are? So
that's what my argument was going to be. That Dobes actually can be a much better goalie. His stats could be a lot better defensively they played pretty well the other night. Last night not so much. But yeah, no, I honestly think that Dobes could be much better if they performed a little bit better in front of him. I wouldn't go to trade market. Honestly, I mean, not for a goalie at least. I think we all know what our glaring hole is on the team. Just let them play. Let Dobes play. He's the number one. Give up on Monty. Stop that whole.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, okay. I'm sorry. No, it's just no. It's just this year. It's not his year. I don't know what happened. Dobes all the way. The more often he plays, the more confident he's going to get. Last night he played very well. Yeah, he let in a couple of goals, but he played well. He's playing well. It's not that he's playing bad. I just don't think that the team in front of him is performing up to par, or the defense not performing up to par to give him the chance to win these games.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Okay, so no trade.
No.
Vito, if there is a trade, UPL would be maybe where you're going, but you're kind of on the fence. Maybe don't do it. Maybe do it. Dave, same pre-question.
I would say it's not
question.
The priority, but yes, if there's a trade to make the team better, you make the team better.
Fair enough.
I think Dobes right now is the number one goaltender. I think that Monty, I mean, you guys know my thoughts about Monty. I never thought he was the man here. I don't think that and I think he's being exposed for what he is. I mean, there's always been a caveat with him, oh, he was good last year, but he played too many games. But maybe it's not that he played too many games. Maybe it's just that's who he is. He showed us who he was. He's an inconsistent goaltender. I don't think he's a guy who can really rely on a nightly basis. I mean, you could rely on him to play and make some saves, but I don't think you want him in a high pressure situation. At least I don't want that out of Sam Montembeault. So I think Dobes right now is your best bet. I would not bring up Jacob Fowler here at all whatsoever. Not at all. Not until this.
No, this
sorry.
Year.
This
year? Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about years yet, but I would not bring up Jacob Fowler with this defensive. You see it. It's not right to kind of throw him to the wolves and kind of be like, okay, deal with this situation. You got to figure out the defensive part. I could see a Jacob Fowler appearance later on in the year. Maybe if depending how things play out, once the Canadiens have settled on once Caden Gooley comes back, maybe if they make him like, there's just, you need to figure out your defensive situation before you could bring up Jacob Fowler. There's no reason to bring him up right now. You need to he's played 13 games or something, or he's 10-3, so 13 games this year. Let him play more. Kaapo Kähkönen was brought up because of Monty's illness or whatever. He's playing. He's 6-2 with the Rocket as well. He's playing absolutely well too. He has a .906 save percentage. Goals against average is very similar to Fowler's, I believe. Last time I checked. I mean, I'd like to see him get a little bit of an opportunity. Him and Dobes kind of play it out a little bit to see up until whenever Monty comes back. I don't know what their plan is. I think that's the most realistic scenario. I think that they have Fowler there for the future. I don't know if they want to crowd their goalie crease right off the bat, especially when you don't know what you have in Dobes. I don't think it's fair. I think you look at his win-loss record, it's pretty decent. It's pretty solid. The team seems to like him. They rally around him. He has that flair in him that he could be the Montreal Canadiens goaltender of the future. You could just kind of see it in his personality. Whether that actually plays out to his talents, I don't know. But I think you kind of have to ride with him a little bit, and you kind of have to see, you work on your defense a little bit more, and then you could make a judgment. In the new year, around the break, when you're starting to see, then you could kind of see what you have. And I don't think they're in a position where the goaltending is so bad that it's costing them the season. Like, I don't look at this season and be like, they are where they are because of the goaltending. I think that they're growing pains all around. I think that they have a lot to work on, and I think they are working on it, and I think they're headed in the right direction, absolutely. But I can't point to it and be like, goaltending is an absolute disaster. This is, they're veering off a cliff, and they won't be able to this rebuild. It's hurting the rebuild.
You're not wrong. I would say it's not necessarily the goaltending. It's always going to come back to that they're missing center depth, and the injuries at the moment, and the defensive lapses that are currently happening. Like, things like that are pretty much what you point to before the goaltending. But goaltending hasn't been great either.
No,
Dobes is you can definitely give credit. He was there for some key wins and stacking up some of those points and whatnot. Monty hasn't lived up.
No, Monty has not carried his end of the boat, or whatever you want to call that expression. And I think Dobes has more of an opportunity. He gives you an opportunity he's a battler, man. You could just see it in him. He just has that unorthodox style. He's a guy who can be the number one goal. I'm honestly sure of it. I could see it. He needs to get maybe, between the years a little bit. He's a bit emotional, and you could tell that, and you could tell. I don't care what anybody says, and if you want to blame Marty St. Louis or not blame Marty St. Louis, but when they went back to Monty for those games, I'm going to tell you it affected him, and you could tell a little bit. There was and you could draw a line from how he was playing up until that point till afterwards. So that's something that you have to fix as an NHL goaltender. You can't be behaving like that. You can't be acting like that. The tears after a game, like, it's just all in there, and he's going to learn and grow with the team. But I think that they have something now. I don't think there's any reason to go and grab somebody and move assets to get somebody.
I gotta agree with that for the most part. I think you definitely kick the tires, and if for whatever reason teams are really willing to part with a bona fide NHL goalie, and the ask is nominal for whatever reason, you gotta consider it. You gotta consider it. Not for any other reason than if Montembeault truly has played his way out, then you try to trade him for whatever if you can. Or you put him on waivers and you bring in the other guy and you let that guy ride with Dobes. I don't think that that's the likely scenario. I think they're going to rock with the two guys they have.
I agree.
I really do, and I'm inclined to agree with you guys as well. I think it's Dobes' net now. Mm-hmm. I think he just ultimately gives the team a better chance to win. Monty has the opportunity to, once he's healthy again and he's back in net, and if he starts to string a couple of good starts in a row, it could just as easily come back to him. There's nobody who's running away with this. The thing that I find most concerning, though, is the lack of defensive play in front of these goalies. Sure, they're getting lit up. Sure, they're letting in a goal or two a game where you're like, oof, I would be sure they want that one back, like they should have stopped it. But it's the high danger chances that the other teams are getting, these constantly game after game where you're watching guys just walk right in to take really uncontested shots from high danger places that even Carey Price would probably have a hard time with. It's whatever's happening there. Well, just to illustrate the point. Now the Carey Price comparison is another
Carey Price
thing
was left like that alone in his whole career.
Well, fine. But the point being is like it's very, very often. And any goalie is going to let goals in enough times with enough of those types of shots coming in. These guys, unfortunately, are not able to steal games either, which is another thing that's different. Because last year you had moments where Monty in particular was stealing games. And a lot of those games ultimately led to the playoff berth that they got. That really isn't happening this year. You're seeing decent games happen. There are some games here or there that you can say, wow, they really played better. But overall, like games that they should lose, but they won due to their goalie are few and far between. And that's a pretty big telltale sign, I find, from the contrast between the last year and this year. And so neither one of them have really got that going for them. And when you look at whatever's happening with defense, which does need to be figured out because it is bad. It is very bad. If they can tighten that up some way, shape, or form, and if it's just a matter of Goalie coming back, if that was like the big difference maker and he by himself,
I think it's a huge difference.
It's possible, and he is a big difference. And so maybe that will clean things up. But if the defense,
I think it's a perfect storm. Yes, I think
it's a little bit of all of it, sure.
Goalie for sure would make an impact. At the end of the day, it's Caden Goalie. When he's not hurt, he is an impact defenseman on that team. I think it's finally catching up to that there's too many guys playing on their offhand, and especially their key guys. Like these are guys that are having to do away
on defense
and be forced into a position or into a situation that they're not entirely 100% comfortable. Can they do it? Yeah, at some point that's going to catch up too.
And to bring it back to coaching, like the other teams, like again, the Canadiens are it's not last year, it's a new season. The Canadiens teams study these teams and they see these players playing on the wrong wing, and they're going to expose it. The best players in the world are going to expose it. So
there's something to be said about the season, right? I said this, and while people probably scoffed at it at that time or just looked at it and dismissed it, they did lose 2 defensive players in the bottom 6 that they never replaced. And those guys, whether you like it or not, had an impact on the team for the bottom 6. They were defensive key pieces, especially for the PK, and you didn't have to rely on adding more minutes to a Suzuki or having Jake Evans play above and beyond.
You want to know a real issue, though, is that Kapanen was supposed to be in that bottom 6. If you think about it, and then
injuries, it's the lack of
injury. It's the lack of that 2C. So if they would have went and addressed that issue, I think it would have fixed itself. I don't think those players.
I don't think Kapanen was ready to take over whatever responsibilities Joel Armia was doing, whether we laughed at it or not. For the price he was paying, he was a big contributor on the defensive side of the game.
I think he could have fit into that role perfectly, to be honest.
I think they acquired Bolduc
duties all of a sudden, you know what I mean?
I really think that's what they hoped they got with Bolduc, was to get somebody who could have played a bit
like him too. Is also
Armia, but had the offensive flair that Armia was always missing.
But him too, he's been playing on the first and second lines. Like it's tough when you kind of lack that depth and you're missing pieces all over the place a little bit, and that's where that big hole at 2C it's a domino effect to everything, to absolutely everything on this line.
But you can't ignore the injuries. I know because it's been a couple times I've heard you talk about, Vito, the fact that they didn't quite replace these guys, and it does make a difference on the bottom 6 and the defensive nature that those guys were taking on the team. You have key members 100%. Of the roster that are out. They had to go pick up guys like Texier. You have Jared Davidson that's been around now for several games. They had Florian Jack-Guy that was called up. They had Josh Waugh come up for a bit. The whole bottom 6 is completely in flux, and it's not the bottom 6 that they're supposed to have.
They already didn't have they didn't have a lot of depth down the middle, and they lost 2 key guys that were viable options on this roster anyway, down the middle, and Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook. And it's not like they had somebody else to come in and replace them. It ended up being Joe Veleno, Jake Evans, and Kapanen that are all. I said it. I started what I was saying by saying, yes, we know that there's a center. The centers are the issue, but at the same time, it's the bottom 6. Even the bottom 6 players that are currently there are not providing any secondary scoring, or very limited amount of secondary scoring, and they're also not having an impact on the game in a positive way night in and night out. You're having, there's a lot of money currently right now in the bottom 6 in Gallagher and Josh
They're
Anderson
handcuffed.
that are
What are
not
you gonna
living
do?
up to that money whatsoever.
Well, I mean, we'll get to one of those guys in a second, but to address for the segue here, to address the 2C, right? Which we're suggesting now, or what I'm hearing being suggested is the start of the domino effect that's leading to all of these other woes on the team. There is an individual with history with the Canadiens who could potentially be available, who is a centerman, who could come on back to Montreal. And I'm curious to know if there's any appetite whatsoever for Mr. I made pizza very famous during the playoffs, Phil Danault. Luca, for the right price, do you want to see Phil Danault and his 3 points on the season this season come back to Montreal?
5 points.
What's
5 points, forgive me.
What's the right price?
It can't be that much. It's not nothing, but it can't be that much.
I mean, I don't think he's the solution. No, I mean, no, I wouldn't. Just my personal opinion. Nothing against him, but I've always been a firm believer of not taking back players after they leave, regardless of whether they got traded or if they are left on their own. I just feel like they're evolving, and I just don't like the idea of Phil Danault and his 5 points coming back to Montreal. I think there's better options out there. I think if you're going to make a trade, at least go after somebody that's worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's kind of a Band-Aid solution on a problem. You're going to slap him in there, but he's like $5.5 million and he's going till 27, I think. So I don't know. To me, it's not a viable option. I think it's a cute little storyline, and it's fun for the local media to debate and discuss. And he kind of just, if you look on paper, he kind of just would fit there. But then again, you're gonna create a logjam. To me, it's something that I would not approach, and it has nothing to do with his poor start to the season. I don't think that he's the player that he was when he. I don't think he's the player that he was when he left in the first place. He left for a reason. I don't think he was part of the plans here going forward, anyways. And I just think, I mean, he's not the player. I don't think the team the fans will remember. So I would stay away from him.
Vito?
For the right price, I actually would consider him. I mean, is he at the top of the list? Is he the number one choice at the top of the list? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't put him there, but I would definitely consider him. He's got one more year left after this one at $5.5 million. He'd be easily the best face-off guy on the Montreal Canadiens roster. The thing is that if he would be wanting to come here to slot in as a 2C, no, he wouldn't be the 2C. You're grabbing that guy and you're literally plugging him on probably the 3C at where he's at in his career. Help, the other centermen and provide more depth and finally be in that slot. Where I remember when Danault was still here and we were recording, and I would say that, and he was being slotted as a first line center in Montreal. I used to always say that the day that Philippe Danault was a 3C on the team's a contender. Or they're a very good team. So I think that if they brought him in,
I know 5 years ago.
I agree, right? I don't disagree with you. I still think that he's one season removed from having 43 points. It's really not bad. I think he like I said, Montreal's struggling big time and down the middle, especially with faceoffs. And I don't think, and his defensive game is still strong enough and it's impactful enough, and it's a need that the Montreal Canadiens do have, that I don't think it would be a bad thing to have him. However, with that being said, it depends what would have to go the other way. And I still think that at that salary, they'd have to retain even a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it would cost too much, in all honesty.
He wouldn't cost too much. And I'll tell you my perfect take on Phil Danault is the head says yeah, the heart says no. That's how I feel about Danault. On paper, you just outlined it. You pick him up. You find a way to mitigate the money he's being paid. He probably wants to come. There's rumors about how he wanted to finish his career in Montreal. He wants to come back here. You put him as 3C, which makes a lot more sense for him. You're not looking for him to fill the solution on 2C. Evans comes down. Like everything kind of makes a little bit more sense, right? The head says yes. The eye test yes. The heart, though, not going to necessarily agree 100% with Lucas' take, where if you leave the team, you're dead to me, you never come back. I don't know if I go that far, but there's a touch of that, mostly because it's always when you think back on a player when he was on your team, if you liked him then, usually speaking, he's not the same guy. Touching more on what Dave was talking about, Phil Danault is not the guy today as he was the year after he left after that big run.
You're not wrong, but he's still a viable, solid, responsible,
but is
young
this the
enough.
season he fell off? Is this it? Are we watching the moment? He has 5 points in 28 games. He's projected to finish the season with 15 points. He will probably get more than 15 points. But right now, he is on an LA team that is a pretty decent team. And he has 5 points. 5. It's something that you got to look at. You got to figure out, why is that the case? How is it that he is not producing at all? So, like I said, on paper, I look at it, the head thinks about it.
And Trevor Moore at the moment.
He doesn't have great wing. I'm not saying no, but I mean, ultimately, just the way that it plays out. I mean, at one point, Corey Perry, before he got injured, I think Corey Perry had like 14 points.
Well, and don't forget, last year too, Philippe Danault was playing on the power play as well. And when Montreal is playing, he's not getting any power play time in LA right now.
There are reasons for this.
You're not getting him to put up points, though. That's one thing.
No,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get him to necessarily come out and be the guy that he was for Montreal, where he was miscast and playing as a 1C on a team that he shouldn't have been a 1C to begin with.
Well,
I'd be getting him as a guy to say, okay, you're now a 3C. You're at the stage of your career where we want you more of a defensive role. If you could provide some secondary scoring, great. Teach face-offs, be a face-off, do the key face-offs in the defensive zone, play the PK, be a bit more responsible, take some of the responsibilities away. If there's an injury on the 2C and you're playing Phil Danault, if need be, then okay. Or if you have to move Kapanen for a defensive zone face-off win just so that you could get the puck, then do the line. Like, there's things that you can do there and strategically use him properly that right now Montreal can't do at all right now today, because they have who do they have?
LA is choosing to put Joel Armia on the second power play over Phil Danault. They know something. They must know something. And so when you think about that, you're looking to bring Phil Danault here.
Okay, hold on a second. First off, Joel Armia played on the power play with the Montreal Canadiens as well. So let's put that one down.
How much did we complain about that?
Yes, and but West Coast is taking time. They're gonna figure this out too. What they're getting with Joel Armia. Okay, they're gonna figure that. We with Montreal, we always, as fans, when we used to watch, you'd have that stretch of games where Joel Armia would look like the next thing, and then all of a sudden you'd see the 20-game stretch of 0. And you'd be like, what was the Joel Armia from the 10 games prior? And you don't get it. But he shows flashes. So now LA is seeing that. They're going to live through that. And give them about 2 years where they're going to realize, Joel Armia isn't consistent.
Listen,
but he's a good forechecker.
I hear what you're saying. Like I said, on paper, it makes sense. But I got to side with Luke and Dave on this one. I would pass on Phil Danault. I don't think that there's a fit there. I believe if there is something to be done, and I do really believe something will be done, it will be a better, more suitable player coming back.
I like the 54% face-off percentage. It's the highest. It would be the highest on the Montreal Canadiens team.
Yeah, but there's other players that have those kind of face-off numbers.
Not on Montreal.
No, but if you're going to go get a player, why does it have to be? No,
because of what he's going to cost, probably. It won't be much.
It's what he would cost. I think it would be salary retention. And I think that you're also getting a guy who knows exactly what the Montreal market is like. He's got experience. He's gotten to the point of the Stanley Cup finals. There's some familiarity there. There's a lot of things there that you could kind of check.
No trade clause.
Yes, by the way, and trust me, he would come back to Montreal.
Well, clearly Montreal's not one of them. But my point is, it's just this isn't like an easy guy to just ship away. Like that's why it would probably be easy to get.
He's not at the top of the list. Like, I wouldn't, if I'm the general manager, I'm not going there to get him to be the 2C. You know what I mean?
Well, no, obviously not.
But if that's the solution if that's the solution to the 2C, no, that's a huge mistake. This is to me would be a solution to add depth and correct the center ice position in the bottom 6. Especially when you consider that there's a lot of players that have key injuries. And I also think that when Newhook does come back, you don't have to force Newhook as being a center when he's actually better as a winger.
Yeah, get Newhook out of the center ice position, please.
That I agree with. I mean, the last little thing here, I think it's funny. I'm looking at the depth charts and the units for LA. Their first penalty unit is Danault, Armia, and Joel Edmondson.
It's
interesting.
Mark Bergevin is playing puppeteer somewhere back there.
It's interesting. Anyways, a final question for you guys. Again, going back, to one of the mainstays on the Canadiens. As much as it pains me to say it, we saw what might have been the last little burst of hockey that Brendan Gallagher has last season. He did some things that, honestly, I would say the majority of us, except for Vito, who is his biggest fan, clearly.
if you pan the camera a little bit, there's another jersey there, but
there's a whole wall dedicated to him. It's like all of them. But anyways,
I can show you that wall.
It's,
it's missing a jersey.
No, but listen, he showed us up. I think we all kind of thought that ship had sailed, and he put up some really respectable numbers last year, and it was a pretty good season for him this time around, mind you. I don't know, the eye test, the shooting percentage, the everything is just really not looking good. I mean, you can say the same a little bit for Anderson. The difference with Anderson is he's a big boy. He can still throw his body around, and he's still fast. Mm-hmm. When he puts the motor on, when he's doing north to south, he really could speed and get down there. I love Gallagher. This guy was and is a warrior for this team. He'll go down as one of the best of our generation, of our early generation, for how long this team has been missing and haven't had a player that has had the longevity on the team like he has.
He
has more heart than probably any other player.
Not
legitimately.
Well, that too, but
I think he's saying hard.
Hard miles.
Oh, hard miles. Oh, I heard heart. Which
no, you're right. He does have. He still has more heart than anybody on this team.
My question is, if you were to buy him out after this year, or not you, do you think that a buyout is in the future for Brendan Gallagher, or do you think he finishes the contract, which means a whole other season after this year? Dave?
If I am thinking with my head, obviously the answer is yes, to use your analogy, but my heart says no. I think Ken Hughes is a player's general manager, and he's going to want to do right by Brendan Gallagher. Now, the thing is, it's so tough because he obviously, I mean, it just doesn't fit anymore, right? The time has passed him by. I don't think he fits on this team too much anymore. It's not his team anymore. For a long time, it was Brendan Gallagher's team. He was the heart and soul of this team. And it's kind of like he's kind of just moved back, and it's almost not become sad. I don't want to say sad at all, because Brendan Gallagher is still playing to he's giving it his all. But I think that the time has come to move on from him, but I just don't see how they do it. I don't see them buying him out. I don't see it. The only way I see how is if he's like the LTIR, not LTR, but he just, they get him away from the team in another way, a creative way, other than how it is now. I don't see Ken Hughes buying him out. I don't see it going that route. I think that he has a lot of capital, and I think his image is important to him and how he deals with players. And I don't know. Maybe he finds a creative trade partner somehow, some way. He finds another. I don't know how he does it, but I don't see the buyout being that route. I'm sorry. I don't see it happening. My heart says yes. I mean, my head says yes,
but the heart says no.
My heart would say no. I don't think Ken Hughes' heart will.
You're a little bit more shrewd. You're like the heart, all part of me. Yeah, buyout.
I'll give Brendan Gallagher the second I saw Brendan Gallagher play when he came in, I'm like, this guy is amazing. He will not last in the NHL. He is too small, and he does way too many crazy things. He's going to get knocked around. And ironically, the only time he's really missed were with hand injuries from being blasted by his own teammates.
Destroying his hand. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, man, I have all the respect in the world for Brendan Gallagher. I think there was a world where he could have been Canadiens captain at one point over somebody else. I think there could have been a situation there. But at the end of the day, this is not his team anymore. There's no spot for him on this team. But I think you're just 1 year away after this year. I think they probably just ride it out somehow or get creative. But I don't think they buy him out.
Fair enough. Luca?
couldn't have said it better myself. Honestly, the right decision would be to buy him out, but you don't do that. You don't. He's the heart and soul of this team for the last 20 years, like 15 years, whatever it is. I mean, the most iconic pictures that we've had since he started playing are all of him for the Canadiens. You know, like the blood dripping down his face. He looks like a lion that just fought like a crazy war. That being said, it's the right decision to buy him out, but I don't think they will. I do think that once he retires, he will have some kind of role with the team. That's for sure. That's 100%.
Does he retire the year after next year if they don't buy him out?
Yeah, I think
the contract's over.
I don't see why he. I mean, he just had a baby. He's married. You know, like he's gonna want to spend time with his family. He knows he's not blind. He knows that his career is coming to an end. He's gonna want to take a step back. But I think I definitely see him staying with the team in some capacity. But
okay, so again, you're of the mindset should but wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Vito?
I think if the cap wasn't going up, they would probably consider buying him out because especially if there's a big acquisition to be made, then they did find a way because the savings are there. I think like if I'm looking at our friends at Puckpedia, the buyout if they buy him out would be the cap hit would go from 6.5 to 3.833 this year and then 1.3 the following year. So there's some savings there, significant.
Significant.
But I also can see it that maybe they don't want to extend that contract to 2 years if there's no need, especially with all the cap space. I could probably see where he sticks around the team and kind of like in the show Ted Lasso, where what they do with Roy Kent, they basically made him on the second team within that team, and he becomes a 13 forward, so to speak. Maybe not to start the season, but eventually that's what ends up happening, and he comes in when there's injuries or whatever, and plays and gives. At some point they gotta. It's not common to see something like that happening, but I think to what Luca was saying, Gallagher knows. He knows he's having trouble keeping up. He knows that his shooting is not exactly what it used to be. He's more heart than anything else. But at some point, there's only so much you can do and so much your body can do before it finally tells you you gotta stop. He's 33 years old, but he's like, when you watch him play, he's a guy that's like 38, 39 already.
Yeah.
He just doesn't keep up. So again, unless there's a big acquisition to be made and they're strapped for cash and for cap it, then that's the only way I could see them doing the buyout. Otherwise, to what Dave said, Kent Hughes just probably won't do that. Might be a bit creative and ship him to somewhere where there's a bit of sun and help his bones a little bit. I just
develop a mysterious skin condition where he has to take a leave of absence from the team.
Easy, Mariosa. But I could.
This is what I say when there's room to get creative here.
Yeah, like
I feel bad saying it, to be honest. It's not a joke.
Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. Do I think he gets bought out? No. But what I think is going to happen. This is complete tinfoil hat on. I think this season he's going to finish with the Canadiens. They're going to go into next season, which I think he's going to be 34. There is years of hockey left should he want to, and the body doesn't completely break down, but the game is passing him. But that said, there's still a lot of value in the intangibles that he possesses, right? He'll be a 16-year veteran. There are teams that could benefit from having a guy like him around, and a team that is about to implode and sell off their major stars and look to rebuild and get somebody maybe like him to come in and help them out. And it would be kind of putting a bow on it for him because he'd be going home, is the Vancouver Canucks.
You're like wishful thinking. That was like 2 years ago.
I think there's a world where if it goes according to plan here and they end up shipping off Hughes and they start stripping the pieces away and they're going to need to get salary in, they will sign Brendan Gallagher. They'll take him after next season. He'll be traded to them. And then they'll sign him for 2 years or whatever to kind of help their young guys. And that's how I think Brendan Gallagher's career is going to end.
Brendan Gallagher's career is going to end with a Montreal Canadiens jersey. That much I am certain.
I hope so. But if there is a place that he's going to go, I think the only place he goes is Vancouver.
Wow.
I don't think there's any place else that has any interest in him. And so that's my
Hold on a second. The one thing I didn't consider, he's he's got a no movement clause. So he literally decides.
Yeah.
He's got a no movement clause. He's got a modified no trade clause.
Of course, he was signing the Bergevin era, man.
Yeah.
No, but like they'll tell him and say, "Listen, Gally, you're like not this year, next year. It's coming to a close. We're not going to be able to re-sign you. We'd like to do well by you. Vancouver is asking. They pitched the same thing. They want leadership. Yada yada yada. Any interest in going to Vancouver? You want to go live there for 2-3 years? What do you think?"
It's not happening.
Very unlikely.
That'd be hard.
Very
man.
unlikely.
Moving your family for
100%.
2 years.
I'm sure he has a house there, my man.
Yeah, I know.
That's where he goes in the summer and stuff.
But he built his life here,
I'm not saying no. Anyways, brings us to a close of this episode. Thanks very much, everybody, for coming along the ride with us. If you haven't already, consider liking and subscribing. The whole 9 yards we normally ask you to do at this time. We really appreciate you.
And this episode was brought to you by
the good people at Snap. Look them up. Check them out. Very cool sports bar out in David is Vulture?
Rigo. Come on. The best place. If you're off island and you're looking for a place to watch the game, this is a brand new place. TVs on literally every single wall. First class executive chef type food that you want. They have pitchers, they have spirits, beautiful bar right in the middle there as well. And you gotta check them out. Absolutely. If you're off island, there's no better place to watch the game.
Give them a Google. Give them a check out. Very cool establishment.
Give them a Google.
Check them out on the Google machine. Thank you very much, everybody, for the boys here. This was episode
136,
and we look forward to seeing you at 137. For Vito, Dave, and Luca, I'm Matt, and this was
Get Pucked.